Alright, patch from scratch. Haven't done one of those in a while. Actually, it's been at least 3 years, I think. So let's show you my Snazzy FX rack, which I built over the past couple of weeks, and see what we can patch with it today. I have a rough idea in my head what I want to do. I want to start with a tidal wave. This is a audio processor or synth voice or both. It's currently set to synth voice mode, and I'll use that to play a melody. Because this is nicely self-contained, you have like a self-oscillating filter in there as your sound source, you have a wave shaper, a voltage-controlled amplifier, LFO, envelope. So I will patch the VCA output into my mixer. Yeah, and we can hear it. And to play the melody, I will actually use the Artcore, which is an Arduino module, so you can connect it via USB to your computer and program it with different sketches, as they are called. And I modified a sequencer sketch so that the Artcore right now can provide an 8-step CV sequencer melody and also random triggers. To clock it, I will use the LFO of the tidal wave as a master clock, and that has to go in there. And it doesn't, it has to go into the clock input, of course. So now we're getting a clock, and I'll use one of the analog outputs to drive the 1 volt per octave input of the filter. And let's make this a little slower. And now I can use the knobs here to enter notes. Yeah, something like this. Add a little bit release time. And then we can also switch this so that the wave folder is receiving our filter output, like the melody. And we can have that modulated by the square wave LFO, which is also clocking our Artcore. Yeah, okay. So that's one part of the thing I want to do. And then let us add one of those drone bank triangle wave oscillators through the eternal spring wave shaping filter. I'll connect that to the mixer real quick, and then let's patch the first oscillator into the input. Let's open up the cutoff frequency. And let's tune that it kind of fits to the melody. I don't know about that. Maybe we can try something with that later. So the second Artcore output, which is just a copy of the melody CV that we're getting here, I'll patch into the CV input. Just for some subtle movement. And let's add some resonance. Okay, let's reset that sequence. So now we have it tuned a little better. And now we can add 1 or 2 notes there. Another cool thing about the internal spring is the frequency modulation input. And let's try out the Chaos Brother, which is a slow chaotic module to modulate the frequency. And we can actually clock this module, and I'll use the clock output of the art core, which is the same as the LFO here. Turn up the chaos a little bit. And now we get some rhythmic modulation of the filter cutoff. And this is a point where we could think about drums. So I'll just forward that clock into my Doepfer clock divider and just plug the division by 2 output into the trigger input of the kick me, which is a pretty fat kick drum. I will just put that into the IntelliGel mixer here so that I can add another percussion sound later, maybe. Yeah, let's make it a little bit distorted like that. And what we can try is take the output of the tidal wave before it goes to the VCA and send it into the CV input of the kick me. Like this we get some kind of melody and of course some grit to our kick drum, which is also almost becoming a drone. So maybe that's nice. Now with the tidal wave together and our chaotically modulated internal spring filter, we could now tune up the drone bank. Okay, I think I like that. So we still have at least one mixer input free, so let's check out some more of the chaotic stuff, or actually let's check out the telephone game, because that is 5 sample and holds chained after one another with some feedback options, and that can get really musical actually and not totally chaotic, which I like. But I will use the Snazzy FX Chaos Brothers Y output, another chaotic output, as an input for the sample and hold, so that we don't just use the white noise, but actually chaotic patterns here. And the difference between the white noise and the chaotic pattern is that the chaotic pattern actually follows a pattern, while the white noise is completely random. And since this is also clocked, whatever we get at the end will somehow be related to our main clock or rhythm that we got going. So that's the input. And then, of course, I need a clock for the sample and holds to fire. And I will take, of course, my main clock here. And so I have to multiply that so that everyone gets the clock. Let's see if that works, because I got big multiple chain here going on. But yeah, that's firing. And let's turn down all the feedback. Everything's on, input is on. So let's find another oscillator from the drone bank and then patch it through the high gain VCA. This is also a wave shaping VCA, so really nothing clean here, apart from the multiplier actually. The sum output of all the 3 VCAs in here will go into my mixer then. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, so this is actually a triangle wave originally, and this is processed by the high gain, so it's not a triangle wave anymore. We can have that actually amplified 3 times. because there's normaling going on here for all of the 3 sections. Okay, so now let's see what the telephone game will give us. I'll just patch the last stage of the sample and holds in the CV input, and yeah, there's nothing because I have the mixer turned down. Okay, well that's really subtle. So let's have the sum output, which is usually hotter, which combines all the sample and holds, and modulate the second VCO. And the sum output. Because we have more outputs here, let's take the slew output and patch it into the CV of VCA3, which is, yeah, maybe not the greatest thing. So let's add another oscillator. Okay, now let's take the sum output of the high gain and route it through the dual multiplier. Maybe we can get some more variation in there like this. So the dual multiplier is a clean VCA basically, which can also be used for ring modulation effects. So let's add another oscillator. And I'm taking one of the telephone game outputs and putting it into the second stage, which is normal. So I can try some feedback, patching the output of the first stage of the dual multiplier into the CV of the third stage of the high gain. Alright, got some more cables and unused modules, so let's have a look at the Dreamboat and just use that Y output to modulate our tidal waves mix CV. So it will mix between the dry filter or the dry sound and the wave shaped sound. Yeah, without modulation and with chaotic audio rate modulation. And to kind of sync the Dreamboat, we can use its CV input and get the chaotic gate from the Chaos Brother. Maybe that will do something. here this LED will show us the state of the module, and if that's flickering between red and green, then it'll start getting really chaotic and switching the attractors. That's how I understood it. So we have some situations where it doesn't modulate it that much, and then we have the noisier modulation. That's coming from the clocking and the switching of the chaos. And let's use the X output to modulate the wave shape. Okay, so we got one oscillator here of the drone bank left. We can try to modulate the resonance of the tidal wave. So I also adjusted the dreamboat a little bit so that the effect of the chaos switching on and off is more pronounced. Let's add the percussion again. Okay, yeah, that's getting pretty dense sonically. Let's smooth that over using one of the spring reverb tanks I've got built in here, and I used the Klangbau spring reverb tank. So, let's unplug that, plug it into the other output, and then find a short cable if I have one. Unplug that. Let's see, that goes there, that goes there. It's really built into the case, and it has the amplifier in there as well. So I just got those two cables coming out of the case, which are the input and the output of the spring reverb. Okay, and one last thing I want to do, I want to change the melody from the artcore, because that's the thing I actually changed from the original sequencer design by 20 objects. I added the CV input so that the melody can actually change, and because we already have the Snazzy FX Dreamboat hooked up there and synced, I will just take the second LFO outputs of that chaos to modulate the melody of the artcore, and let's see if that works. So right now it's set so that it only modulates one step of the 8 steps. And I can, of course, change that as well, that it will modulate a range while others stay the same. And one last thing, because I like those visualizations, let's patch the output of our mixer also into the 0 scope, so that we can see what's happening. Alright, well, that was some fun noodling. Write your comments down below if you have questions, I guess. I will see that I might start making those again, those videos. Hopefully not as long as this one has been. Maybe I'll cut it down. Anyway, so thanks for watching. I hope you got interested in the snazzy stuff. Watch my other jam sessions, which are a little bit more planned actually than this pretty chaotic stuff, which is fitting to the snazzy modules. But nevertheless, yeah, I'll keep things shorter next time. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon.